So when you're there recording Creep with Tom and the band Radiohead, do you ever think to yourself, what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. Radiohead, Elmo from Sesame Street, Pixies, Ho, Dinosaur Jr., the Dropkick Murphys, Toots and the Maytals.
The Count from Sesame Street.
The Count, yes, okay.
It was the Count.
All right, Sebadoh, Juliana, Hatfield, Firehose, the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, Big D and the Kids Table, Belly, Buffalo Tom, the Lemonheads, Jayhawks, Uncle Tupelo, George Thoroughgood and the Destroyers. What do all these bands have in common, viewers? I'll tell you what. They all worked on releases with our next guest, the legendary rock and roll producer and engineer, Paul Q. Kolderie. What's up, Paul?
What's up, Dennis?
That was a mouthful, man. I mean, your resume's long. I probably shouldn't have tried to squeeze it all in.
You could have kept going.
I could have. And
You could have.
now you're on the Dad Joke Game Show with Denis Ball. That puts me in pretty good company, man.
It does.
So working on Elmo Palooza, you were working with the Count from Sesame Street, you said?
Well, I recorded the Bosstones doing a song with the Count, but I didn't actually... Yeah, I didn't exactly meet the Count. I mean, he was on kind of like a screen, you know? So that was kind of done after. As we know, the Count is just a guy. Like, he's not a real Count. He's just a voice.
Right,
Yeah,
of course. So I was in, and I was wondering, if he was in studio with you or not, but I guess not. They just flew him in afterwards, which is a little disappointing, but you did get to hang out with the Bosstones, so that's cool.
I've hung out with them before, but they just had him going, one mighty, two mighty, so he just did his Count
Right,
voice.
he was counting the Bosstones. It's funny because, the video that went with that, Paul, probably sold more copies than more bands' entire catalogs. Baby Ball used to watch that thing all the time. I literally have seen it at least 20 times.
Baby Ball.
Baby Ball. I've seen it 20 times at least. It had Aerosmith, Gloria Estefan, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I have a question before we get to the Dad Joke Game Show.
Okay.
I have a couple music questions. Do you mind?
Not at all.
When you produce like a compilation, like you produced a Radiohead best of box set thing, what does that entail? Producing the best of?
Well, the best of that was done by the record company. I didn't really have. I produced songs that were on that record, but not all of them. And so somebody at the record company just decides what they want to do, And
Got it. So you're credited because you participated in the production of the tracks that were
originally, yeah. I didn't have any. I don't think even on that particular release, I don't even think the band had any say. They might have been able to approve it, but I don't think. See, that was their old record company, EMI, And
right.
So when they say the best of, they mean the best of the records that we have, because the
Right.
group owns all the new ones. So.
Right, of course. Okay. And so, speaking of Radiohead, you worked on that hit song "Creep."
I did.
Right.
Yep.
You produced it. You recorded it.
Yep.
You mixed it.
Did it all.
So when you're there recording "Creep" with Tom and the band Radiohead, do you ever think to yourself, "What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here."
No, in fact,
seriously, like
that's a lyric from the song, actually. But to be honest, I never thought for a moment. I think that song is a good example of, the 10,000-hour principle. I won't say the name of the author, but the idea that
I know exactly what you're talking
the
about.
idea that you have to be ready when the opportunity comes along. And so at the point where they cut that song, I had a lot of experience and I was ready to handle it. They were very inexperienced, but I was able to realize that was the song we should be doing instead of the song that they told us we were going to do. So we kind of pulled a fast one.
Wow.
We kind of pulled a fast one on the record company there.
Interesting. So you had a hand in sort of deciding that would be the single. You heard that and you knew it had power that the other songs didn't have. It was a hit.
I would say so, yes. Although it was kind of very odd kind of hit, but those are the best kind of hits.
I mean, did you have any sense? I mean, it's huge. Did you have any sense at the time when you were recording it? Was there a moment when you said, this is going to be massive?
Well,
Not really.
I remember it sort of snuck up on us. I mean, when we were at the studio in England, when we finished it, we kind of worked on it for like 2 days. And at the end of the 2 days, the group was all there and we played it and everyone, Tom turned to Johnny and he said, what do you think? And in an English accent, of course, which I will not do.
Yeah,
thank you. But Johnny said, I think it's the best thing we've done. And everyone agreed and we all went to bed. We all went home. And then a couple weeks later, the record company called us and said, everyone's freaking out about this song. Can you fly back to England and do a mix for the BBC without the bad words in it? And so we said, sure. We said, sure. So we flew back and we did a mix without the bad words, and that's the one that got played a lot on the radio.
And so there's the swear-filled one is out there as well?
That's on the record.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so be careful, kids.
Right, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I was going to ask you if you went home and you were singing, I'm a creep, like before anyone knew the song. Would you sing? But I guess you do that, right? You're invested in the songs that you work on.
Oh, absolutely. No, if I'm working on a song, I'm trying to make it the best song I can make it, so.
So yeah, you're loving it. And I know that, man, because one time I was in a session with you.
That's right, yeah.
And you were recording Fluent and Stroll with Big D and the Kids Table.
Yeah.
And I was sitting quietly on the couch listening to you. I was probably, you thought I was just a normal ball. But I was just sitting there soaking it in, man. But but it was amazing to watch you work because, well, for one thing, it was jaw-dropping to glance around and see shelves of 2-inch tape and see names like the Pixies on the spines and sort of be like, wow. Right. And I think you were also baking George Thoroughgood tapes in the oven that day. And
yeah, we did a lot of restoration of old tapes.
Yeah, so that makes it more stable to cook it in the oven like that.
Tape, if it's stored in a basement or something that's wet, it absorbs water and it gets gummy and you can't play it. So you literally have to dehydrate the tape, just like making dehydrated apples or apricots or something. You know, dried fruit. You actually use a food dehydrator.
Oh wow! I feel like that day you were cooking it in like an oven, like you make cookies, and you had it cooking at like 300 degrees or something.
No, that's too hot. We didn't have an oven at the studio. We just had these little, we had sort of these big square food dehydrators, but it's 125 degrees. That's all you can do.
Oh, so
if you do it anymore, you'll hurt the tape. So
I'm going to ask you a couple more questions later, but let's start doing some dad jokes.
A bump in the night. This got everybody shook. Bump in the night. Cause there's nobody better in. Bump in the night.